audio blog is to coincide with Brain Awareness Week 2014, which runs from the 10th to the 16th of March 2014. Now, usually on awareness days or events, I usually try and visit or blog about an event, perhaps midweek or perhaps at the start of the event. But this time, I found a lovely event running over at the Maudsley Learning Center just on the last day of the Brain Awareness Week. So, what is Brain Awareness Week all about? Well, basically, it unites the efforts of partner organizations worldwide in a celebration of the brain for people of all ages. Now, this helps to increase public awareness of the progress and benefits of brain research. As I said, it's a worldwide celebration of the brain which grows more successful every year, and an opportunity to let people know about the progress that is being done in brain research, as well as the progress in the diagnosis, treatment and prevention of disorders of the brain such as Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, strokes, schizophrenia and depression, and a lot more that I couldn't mention at this time. So when I finally arrived at the Maudsley Learning Center, it was no surprise to see so many volunteers who were either students studying neuroscience and researchers who were researching on the brain over at the King's College London Institute of Psychiatry, and they were hosting the Brain Awareness event. Well, what was in store for me at the event on the 15th of March 2014? Well, first I politely asked if I could take some photos for the user-led blog Slam Twig Ops, and they were all happy and they agreed, so that we both can sort of raise awareness. And I was actually given this free badge from one of the students, and I actually pinned this on straight away to my jumper. The next stall I visited was about the King's College London's Institute of Psychiatry, and you probably have heard about them on some of my other video blogs or audio blogs. However, it's the first time I've come across the stall, and to be fair, I actually have been doing some work over at the IOP, but what did they have on this stall? Well, they had some leaflets and a magazine called Comments, but I did not have too much time to read it. I did check out their prospectus and sweets, which I ate. I did save some for other people as well. So, what is the Institute of Psychiatry? I mean, what is it all about? If you're sort of new to this blog, basically, it's Europe's largest centre for research and postgraduate education in psychiatry, psychology, basic and clinical neuroscience, and a school of the King's College London. It's world renowned for the quality of their research for psychiatry and psychology, and they are the most cited research centre outside the US, and the second most cited in the world, as ranked by the Thomson's ISI Essential Science Indicators. Now, they are supported by strong partnerships with NHS trusts, industry and healthcare organisations. Talking about partnerships, though, the next stall I visited was run by Carol Stevenson, who was running the stall for SLAM membership, and since I'm a governor for SLAM, yes, that's being South London and Maudsley Foundation Trust, we are always on the lookout for more members, and basically that's basically what Carol was there, busy hosting that stall for the Brain Awareness event. Now, usually I checked out some more of the leaflets, and I found an interesting leaflet called Smile Health. Here, SLAM will offer a challenge for members to submit their ideas that could potentially improve patient experience, increase social inclusion, or promote mental well-being. And if the idea is good, then SLAM will give you basically between £50 to £750. The leaflet is in the midst of some branding, so watch this space. The next stall was on the Tate digital learning project from the artist Luca Damini, and here you can see different techniques to learn from animated pictures provided by the Tate Gallery. Now, Luca is an artist, photographer and visual sociologist. Luca works with various artistic media, and his main interest is of practice and research, which is around the relationship between the visual and childhood. Now our next stall was on using the brain to build a jigsaw puzzle in the form of the brain. I could not have a go, but I did notice one or two children actually trying. I then checked out and read some posters teaching about the brain and how it copes with stress and how stress affects the mind, which is when I bumped into clinical psychologist Colette Hirsch. And she spoke to me about her stall and explained to me how stress actually affects the mind, and I learned quite a bit from her, and she was actually very eager to teach. After her stall, I spoke to another student about his stall, which was mainly aimed for kids, where the use of technology is aiding the mind to learn about things via fun and games, which I think is the best way to actually learn something. You can't often try and force yourself. The next was on the Brain Bank, which is one of the core aims of Brain Awareness Week, which is basically to raise awareness of research into illnesses or disorders of the mind or the brain. Now, the Brain Bank was basically established in 1989 in the Department of Neuropathology, Institute of Psychiatry, King's College London, and its aim is to provide high-quality, clinically and neuropathologically well-characterized human brain and spinal cord tissue to the neuroscience community. Now, they usually store and research on disease and control tissue, frozen tissue, fixed tissue, spinal cord, and more, in the order to research more on Alzheimer's disease, Lewy body dementia, schizophrenia, Huntington's disease, Parkinson's disease, autism, Rett's disease, Patton's disease, and a whole lot more. And I learned quite a lot from the stallholders there. Now, as I walked down the Maudsley Learning Center's steps, I noticed a lot of comics laid out in neat fashion. Eventually I spoke to the stallholder who was holding the fun library section where adults and children try and solve brain teasers from those books or leaflets that was held there. Now this event was quite huge, and it took place on other floors as well, so I did went upstairs and I found a room filled with more activities, and this time I actually wanted to participate, but first I talked to a few more students from the IOP, that being the Institute of Psychiatry, who are volunteering for the Brain Awareness Week. Now, on this table I found a student helping to mould different parts of the brain with plasticine, where children were helping her. And here the scientist turned artist Dr. Lizzie Burns helped guide people through different parts of the brain and what they do while you create this sort of work of art. I then spoke to 3 lovely students on the next table who were busy using their brains to create some art. And I think most were studying neuroscience at the IOP. And this time I was actually asked to help do some painting, and here's my finished work. The students were very friendly, and I wish I could have stayed more and chatted some more and do some more pictures, but I had to sort of rush off and check out the other stalls. And the next one I checked was actually on the wall, called Turn a Wall into a Neuronal Network. And here children were drawing a neuron, which is part of the brain, cutting it and then decorating it to add to the neuronal web wall. And after that I took a look at some mind bites on the other wall, which was quite amazing. I read quite a few of them, and they certainly made me stop and think. I took a few pictures as a memento about the day. I then went back downstairs to have a look at the last stalls before I headed off, and I ended up checking the stall, which had some intriguing art. Now, this stall is run by Maria Tate, and she was interested in capturing the invisible photographic portrait. New medical technologies such as the MRI scans allow us to look inwards and capture the emotions which cannot be captured by camera. So she uses these scans to portray the emotions of the brain, showing the brightness of each state of the emotion. And Maria's site is www.mariaguitart.com. That's spelled as MIRAIGUITART.com. One of the amazing activities to take place at the Brain Awareness event was controlling a toy racing car using your brain waves, and I really wanted to have a go, but I had to actually rush off home to try and compile the photos and the audio blog. And since this was the last day of the Brain Awareness Week, although I did check out one last stall which was held by two lovely volunteers who described to me about how things in the brain are measured. This being brain imaging, which includes different methods which fall into two broad categories: structural and functional imaging. Structural imaging investigates the structure of the brain and can be used to diagnose, used for the diagnosis of a large-scale intractable cranial disease such as tumor and injury. Functional imaging reveals the activity in certain brain regions by detecting changes in metabolism, blood flow, regional chemical composition, and absorption.